was purely by chance. I was over in the US working on a personal project of landscapes, driving around the west coast, and stopped in a city one night called Sun City, and not knowing where I was, I started doing some research and online, and came across these lovely ladies, and I spent the next 2 days driving around the city, looking at the local landscape, because it's such a unique place with the neatly groomed trees and perfectly groomed lawns, etc. So I spent 2 days doing that, but not shooting these ladies. It took me 4 years to go back and organise the time to go back. So when I went back to shoot them 4 years later, I was out there for a week and spent the first 3 or 4 days just driving around, looking for the appropriate locations to shoot them in, and then met up with the group leader, and we talked about what I was trying to achieve and wanted to do, and then we met up and took the group shot first, and then spent 2 days driving around shooting the single portraits that you see. I think there's almost two ideas. One is just celebrating the uniqueness and individuality of these women who are certainly not anything that we see on a day-to-day basis, and celebrating their vitality and their energy. And the other part is, in America you have these child beauty pageants where you have 5 to 10-year-old girls entering beauty pageants and getting lots of makeup and putting on adult dresses, almost trying to grow up very quickly. So I was intrigued by the fact that you have one end of society in the US trying to grow up very quickly, and then at the other end, people wanting to try and roll back the years and almost be younger or feel younger, and these ladies embody that. So that juxtaposition is what sort of drove me to want to shoot the series. So
here it's Vegas portraits, but I think that the real title...
The real title I call Headless in Vegas, yeah, because of everyone taking off their helmets. A lot of people think that I've dressed these people up to take the photographs, but not the case. Along the Sunset Strip in Las Vegas, they have people like these that work for tips. You go and get your photograph taken with them, and then you pay them $5, $10. It's to get around the law there that you can't panhandle, as they call it, ask for money. But a lot of the people that do this are either homeless, illegal immigrants. These two particular gentlemen, that's what they do for their living. And when I was in Vegas before I shot this, I found it's quite a depressing place. It has the veneer of glitz and glamour and looks all lovely, but once you go a little way off the Sunset Strip onto abandoned lots like these, straight away that glamour is gone. I found that these characters that come from a very diverse walk of life, their costumes are very poorly put together in some circumstances. His top here is covered in tape. I thought they worked as a good metaphor for Las Vegas itself, in that once you take off the helmet and look closely at the costumes, you're left with something which is very thin, and Vegas to me is very similar. Yeah, part of me feels like I didn't get enough done when I was out there. It's quite hard to shoot because a lot of the people don't trust you when you walk up to them and say, "Hey, can you come with me, and we'll go to an abandoned lot at the end of after sunset, and I'll take your photo." Especially if some of these people are illegal immigrants. If I did go back, I think I would maybe change the style a little bit more and go a bit deeper into it. Yeah, I wanted to do a small vignette like this for every person in the series. I asked them how they get to work every day, because I thought it's quite interesting that you've got all these people working on the Sunset Strip in their costumes, but you have to get there somehow. Are you in costume? Are you not in costume? So they said, "Oh, we take the bus." So I said, "Great, okay." I already had a bus stop shot in my head before I got to Vegas. For the Sun City Palms, I just had that by myself. I had two big studio flashes that were battery powered, so I could just move them around. And for this one here, I hired a local assistant to help me out because I had quite a lot of lighting for each shot. The bus stop light wasn't working in the ceiling, so we had a light hidden behind this screen here, which was boomed into here and bouncing off the roof to illuminate them as if it was a neon tube. And then I just removed the little bar that was coming out there. So that one's a very subtle one. The best lighting is always when people don't realize. For these images, what did we have? I think I had four lights in the end. So we had, and I used colored gels. We had light coming from this way, and a soft box, we call it, to even the light out, and then a warmer light coming through here. And then another one, you can see little highlights in her eyes there, which is the light filling in the front. And then we had another light over here, which is just illuminating this edge here. So it was lighting's all about trying to make things feel real as opposed to being obvious. So I do a lot of work for the BBC, working on their dramas and producing the advertising and marketing images to go alongside the series that get marketed around the world. So it's a really enjoyable environment to be in because you have a lot of creativity around you. You get to go to some interesting sets that they've built, and you're working with actors who you can direct and get a nuanced performance out of. So it's a really nice environment to be able to work in. And then we have the series over here as well, which is from a BBC series called Strange and Norrell. It's been adapted from a book. Some people may know it, some people may not. So yeah, for this we styled the images in the style of a tarot card, and we wanted it to make it feel quite painterly. So this is the freedom that the TV work gives us, is the ability to be able to be creative with the lighting, and I love lighting things, so it's a really, really nice, I love my job, put it that way. Yeah.